people forget that the dollar, the pound, the lira, the peso, what do all those have in common? It's weight. Weight of what? Gold or silver. All of these currencies originally, back when they were convertible, the dollar was convertible, one for $20.67. All of these currencies originally were derivatives. They were derivatives of gold and silver. And what we're being told now is that gold and silver are worthless. The dollar, the euro, the yen, the pound, they've replaced gold and silver. Gold and silver are barbaric relics, pet rocks, whatever you want to call them. When all is said and done, people are going to find out either you got gold, you got silver, or you got nothing. Figure out what you need on an ongoing basis and make sure you have a 6-month, year, 2-year supply of it, because you may not be able to get it. Going back to what you were saying about being lied to, everything is bullshit. The joke of the day yesterday was Besant coming out and saying, "Yup, all that gold's there." What did he do? Did he walk through and see a bunch of gold? The question then is, okay, so all the gold's there. Who owns it? Has it been rehypothecated? Has it been lent out? Has it been leased out? Speaking of rehypothecation, China, as of the 24th of this month, there will be no more rehypothecation of gold or silver in that country. And you go back to February, and China shut down multiple trading units. They were selling gold and silver short with naked contracts and above the approved limits, and those traders got shut down. They are saying in China, with gold, with silver, it's cash and carry. No more futures, no more options. They'll offshore that to Shanghai, but within China, there's no more rehypothecation. Now, that gets done regularly in the United States on COMEX. You have entities that regularly exceed the approved limits. How many of these trading companies or traders, how many of them have you seen go to jail or be shut down or even mentioned? Now, if they were on the long side, they'd be shut down. But on the short side, no, they're not shut down, because that presses the price down, which helps the powers that be point at gold and say, see, gold bad, dollar good. I just want to tell you that, and if you haven't figured this out yet, I'm sorry, but everything we've been fed for many, many years, I'm going to say at least back to 2010, is bullshit. We've been lied to about everything. We have fake elections. Everything we're fed, unemployment numbers, inflation numbers, blah, blah, blah. It's all bullshit. It's all made up to fit the narrative that everything's good and everything's going to be good until it's not. And when it's not, and the shit hits the fan, you're either going to have gold, you're going to have silver, you're going to have mining companies or commodity-oriented companies that you have the certificates for, or you're going to have nothing. And you will be a slave to the government that's going to come in and say, "Oh, don't worry about it, we're going to save you. Here's your CBDC account. We're going to put money in it each month, your universal basic income, blah, blah, blah," until you and I do an interview like this, and they say, "You two are shut off." That's what's going to happen.
Already, if you look at that principle, the having or not having real things is something that at the elite level, you mentioned that the government leadership in our country and in some other countries that have fiat currencies have been trying to suppress public interest in precious metals for some time to try to preserve and prop up the legacy tailing end of public, I guess, enslavement to the fiat currencies. And you're saying that's in prediction of a yet even more controlling and all-encompassing CBDC future. But meanwhile, we're told that whenever there is one of these major smackdowns, in addition to the Western countries saying, look, gold bad, dollar good, that there's also this huge sucking sound vacuuming up the physical at those artificially suppressed prices by those countries that are basically not underneath that spell, that are advocating both country, sovereign ownership and individual ownership of gold. Do you have any insight for us on, well, for example, China or India or other Asian countries where there's been a cultural affinity to precious metals forever, and their governments are actually encouraging their individuals to own and have investment accounts where they own physical gold and own it personally?
You just basically described the BRICS. That's the rest of the world. The BRICS, that's what they want. They want free, fair, and honest settlement for trade. If they send a widget, they don't want dollars in return because they're giving a real widget for fake money. And I'm not just picking on the dollar. I mean, the euro, all these countries, it's all fiat. I mean, this is coming to a head. Socially, it's coming to a head. Financially, it's coming to a head. Geopolitically, it's coming to a head. Everything is coming to a head. And they have depressed the price of gold, depressed the price of silver, and they're telling you that is not the exit. And if you understand why you bought gold, why you bought silver in the first place, then you understand it absolutely is not the exit, but it's the only exit.
Earlier, you mentioned the yen and the Japanese debt market as being perhaps you could either call it a cave canary, or you could call it potentially the stone that at the bottom of the dam that's going to get pulled out and the rest is going to come tumbling down. Former bank director Alistair MacLeod also has identified the Japanese debt market for months and months as being the weakest among the West, and now particularly just showing signs of near failure type symptoms. So what are you watching? You mentioned that in passing. Can you give us your view of the vulnerability that can come to our credit markets from the potential contagion that could be spread if the yen degrades further?
Yeah, I started talking about that back in third quarter last year, fourth quarter last year. The yen was getting weaker, interest rates were going higher, and the importance of that is those two markets, the yen itself and the interest rates in Japan, those were used to create and fund the carry trade. And the carry trade basically is where the money came from. Not all the money, but a good portion came from the Japanese yen carry trade to create and support the derivatives market. You had interest rates basically at zero. Now you got interest rates at what? Pushing 4%. The yen has weakened, and the yen is going to have to replace. The original funding was dollars or euros or what have you. The yen weakening means, these derivatives are becoming hollowed out because what's underneath them are yen and the credit from the Japanese bond market. This unwinding it's going to affect the derivatives market, and it's going to put some players out of business. And the ease of this becoming a falling domino scenario it's unbelievable. I mean, people think, they go about their daily lives and there's nothing wrong. I mean, that's absolutely wrong. The failure of the carry trade will change everyone on the planet's life for the next generation or two generations.
This notion that everything's fine, people keep asking, well, when will this whole thing collapse? We talked about that. And then they ask, well, all right, if you can't tell me exactly when, what are going to be the signs you're going to see right before the collapse? It's almost as though there's a but there's almost a tendency for people to want to keep surfing on the wave until the very last instant and then jump off right before the crash, thinking that that's going to be the way to get ahead.
That's because they're smart enough to do that.
Go ahead. You can expand on your view of that strategy.
People think, oh, well, when this thing happens, I'm going to be out the day before or 4 days before because it's 3-day settlement. It'll get cleared, and I'll be in the position I want to be in. Nobody's that smart. Nobody's that nimble. I would say your odds of that working out correctly would be the same odds as winning a lottery ticket. And that's why I said earlier, if you know the ending, prepare for that ending now. Prepare for that ending ahead of the end, because once it gets here, you can't move. You will not be able to buy gold. You will not be able to buy silver with fiat money. You'll be able to trade it for stuff. If you want gold, well, here's a car, or here's a piece of property. I need gold. You want to take my property? That'll still work. But at some point in time, for a spell, fiat currency will not be accepted for real money.
It's interesting when we look way back in history, we've seen that pattern play out even in the Old Testament, where you had Joseph, with the coat of many colors, he became an advisor to the Pharaoh. He interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams about 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine, and to prepare for that, the store of everything. That during those 7 years of famine, because Egypt had made silos that the world had never seen of that size, filled with grain and everything from the years of plenty, that first, when the starvation started happening, people came and they traded their money. Well, money back then was gold and silver and copper, so they traded their metal for food. And when their money ran out, they started trading their land for food. And when their land ran out, they traded their very selves, their labor, indenturing themselves as slaves for food. So that's the waves of what's real, is your real money, your real land, and then your real self in servitude. It's anything else is just a derivative or a fiction of our imagination in this modern credit system. Kind of gets wiped out when people wake up from the dream during hard times.